you got to figure this out. Rather than think about money and outcome and result, what would bring you joy, man, every day? What would just make you feel good? Because it's not the drinking. And it's not trying to chase these jobs and monies and outcomes, which seem so far out of reach, and you're not going to get the immediate return. So it was, I just wanted to have kind interactions with people, you know?
Yeah, man. All right, so welcome back to Tattoo Table Talk, episode 6 with my friend here, David Shane. We were talking a little bit about just kind of how things can get overwhelming online. It's such a big part of our lives. But whenever we have our normal day-to-day interactions, it seems to become a lot more like manageable, a lot more digestible. And so I think that's kind of like a perfect segue into what you do now. So I found David through social media, and I actually at first I was like, damn, he's in Pittsburgh? Because like he's got a lot of followers, and it's like very, I don't know, I've seen these videos online, these types of like positive content videos. And I've always been like, kind of like amazed by it because it is such a small, brief interaction, but it's usually like it's one of those things you're like, man, I'm glad I saw that today. You know what I mean? Like that picked up my spirits. And so, yeah, tell me a little bit about like how you got into making, your current content and like, how that whole process started. You said you had moved back to Pittsburgh and you were, not really sure you were going to be here or anything, but kind of started to like it here and the interactions with people. So,
yeah, I like the people. Was floating the idea of going back to Florida because that's where all my relationships were, and I think opportunities as far as work, career, business. But decided okay, I'm gonna stay. So. Take my resume, I applied all these to corporate jobs, different places, thinking that, hey, I've done all these things, I know all this stuff, I'll be able to, do whatever I want to do, right? And then I was quickly humbled and realized relationships do go a long way, and that no one gave a shit, and that almost everything that I had experienced didn't really matter so much.
Do you think that was because it was in Florida and this is like, far away?
That could have been a contributing factor. It might have also been that I gave off something in the interviews that, created a distrust in the person on the other side. Mm-hmm. I think there was a level of desperation that was probably coming across. I don't think that I prioritized healing different components of me, different things that I had been through, mm-hmm. where I was still running, like a lot of us can.
Yes.
And I lacked the self-awareness of maybe, how I was presenting myself and being received by others. So, it was really humbling, but I realized, hey, if I'm going to stay here, I got to figure it out. I got to work hard like, so many other people have to do every day. And sometimes you don't get to do the things you necessarily want to do to survive. And it was funny. My sister actually said to me, I think you need to do this. I think you need to experience that and learn it, and that kind of stuck with me. So I said, maybe you're right. And so I said, okay, well, I'll be a server. So I went to a handful of like restaurants and bars around Pittsburgh that said they were hiring on Indeed, met with managers, and no one would hire me.
Bro, I feel like you'd be such a good server, dude.
I thought so too, but because I had no recent experience serving, and I think what was a red flag to a lot of them, and they're like, why is this guy who was a cop and worked in politics and in corporate America doing all these different things and owned businesses, what went wrong? What's wrong with you? And so the only opportunities that were available was like, listen, we could work you up to being a server, but you got to be a dishwasher. You got to be a busboy. And that was a real attack on my ego because I'm like,
yeah, bro.
I felt like I was better than that, or I can contribute more and offer more. So, I ended up basically grinding, and I was a dishwasher.
So you did the dishwasher gig, which I got to give you mad props on because that is a slice of humble pie, dude. I was, as someone who was a busboy and dishwasher, Yeah, you're kind of like low man on the totem pole, right?
Yeah, but I just had to, and also prioritizing therapy and being open to learning certain tools and maybe looking at things a different way in life as a whole, right? And everything I'd been through. Need to do it. So yeah, it was funny. I at first was really unsettled because some of the folks that I was washing dishes with, they didn't have any other options. And a lot of them had been incarcerated for a large part of their adult and younger life. And then, of course, like the hierarchy behind the scenes in restaurants where no one really gives a shit about the person washing dishes. Everyone's coming to the back, slinging all the dishes over there. You're like the invisible person behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But, I stuck it out and then ran the gamut with busing and serving, and I jumped from place to place after you had conflict with personalities or being mistreated by management, people stealing tips, all the things that can go wrong.
Yep.
And I just ran the gamut. I tried to do construction, but I'm not very handy, and
Same.
people didn't have patience. They'd be like, hey, grab the saw. I'm like, what's the saw look like? Hey, can you just measure this? And I'm like, I don't even know how to work the ruler, bro.
This sounds like a conversation I'd have with my father-in-law, because like my dad was a lawyer. Like, props to my dad. He's relatively handy, but like I didn't. Some people, they're just like red-blooded Americans. They just like have that shit. I'm like, dude, I don't fucking know anything. Like, I'm like, teach me something. And he's like, no, just move out of the way. I'll do it instead. I get that.
Yeah, very, very relatable. So, jump from that. And then, my girlfriend now, we've been together 4 years.
Nice.
She's an engineer by trade. And of course, beyond love and all things we prioritize in a relationship, she wants a contributing partner and somebody that's ambitious and is looking to help secure, our future.
Sure.
And obviously there was a ceiling with the money you can make with a lot of these jobs, unfortunately. So she said, Dave, I need you to really apply yourself. I think you have more to offer yourself and the world, and I think you're selling yourself short, because I became content with the serving gigs. And I tried to do life insurance and these other things, but it didn't sit well with my soul, even though maybe I had the personality for it, the ability to connect, and in turn, manipulate through selling people something that they maybe don't need.
The life insurance, dude, that's a whole pipeline we could go down, bro. I know.
Right.
My goodness. It's like, let's sell you guys this really awful policy to like unassuming old ladies. And then let's like post videos of like our Lamborghinis.
So it's funny, I worked for, I'm not even gonna put the name out there, but it's a life insurance company that has
I'm sure I could take a guess off camera, bro.
Yeah. But, bad taste in my mouth, but I said, hey, I could crush this. I could be great at it. So one of the things they tell you is to reach out to all your friends and family members, your warm connections, right?
Yes,
get them first. So I reached out to a chiropractor and also an entrepreneur that I had known through working at the job in Florida when I was doing marketing for a law firm. And he became a close friend of mine. And so I reached out to him. And he's semi-retired. He owns practices. He's not actively, practicing, but managing them. And I told him what I was doing and said, hey, I don't know much, but I work for this, verified legitimate company. If there's a piece of your holdings or your investments you're willing to move over, it would really help me. I understand if you can't. He kind of yes-manned me, but said he couldn't talk right now. So I kept following up because they tell you to be persistent, don't give up.
Yeah, of course.
So after a number of follow-ups and not getting a call back, he reached out to me one day, and I remember I was in the office. I was all excited when my phone rang because I was really kind of depending on him. He said, Dave, I got to be honest with you. I've been battling cancer and been dealing with that over the past couple years. He's like, I'm really tired. I'm sick. I've had to really step away from the practice, brother. But yeah, financially, I'm just not in a position to deal with this. And so I immediately ejected, right? Like, oh my God, I'm so sorry for bothering you.
Of course.
And it was like 2 weeks after that, oh God, try not to get emotional. My phone rang and it was probably like 10:30 in the morning and it was him calling and I was so excited, not only to hear from him, see how he's doing, but in the back of my mind, for selfish reasons, I was hoping maybe, he had a second thought.
Maybe. Yeah.
Dave, I want to do this because I was struggling to make a living.
Yeah, bro.
And it was his wife who, I can't remember what country she's from, but English wasn't her native language.
Yeah.
And I'd only maybe met her once or twice, you know, at a dinner or visiting him. And she called to let me know that he had passed away.
Damn.
And so it was kind of after that I felt like an overwhelming kind of sense of guilt just with my mentality and the way I approached it and like what I was choosing to do.
Because you were like, man, like I'm trying to kind of make money from
Yeah.
him. Yeah, dude, that's...
Yeah, I don't know, it really messed me up. And my girlfriend, I remember coming downstairs and what's wrong, and I said, you know, good friend, and he wasn't like a good friend in terms of like, we hung out all this often, or we talked all the time, but I really valued our time together.
You respected him, yeah, bro.
And he was like one of the few people who was like a borderline acquaintance. It was, you know, I met him through work, through a job and a position, but who still valued my time and would pick up the call and check on me where there's no money tied to it. You know, I'm in a different state.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was kind of after that I felt really lost and felt like I was struggling to find purpose, and I'm trying to make things work and chase money. And so my girlfriend and I had a sit-down conversation where she said, I think you might need to go back to Florida where you can rely on some of these relationships and get on your feet, you know. And it was purely out of love.
Yeah.
You know, and she's like, I love you, but like, I think you need to do this.
Sure.
And that really hit home because I felt a lot of shame and guilt. Like, dude, you're almost 40 years old and you can't depend on yourself. You have no savings, assets. Look at all these other people with families, doing things, making money, killing it, especially on the internet.
Yeah, the internet.
And I was feeling like a loser and really lost. And it was like the first time in my life that I reached a point, despite having such a strong backbone in terms of support of a family and all this love and a great upbringing, and getting to be connected to so many friends and large social circles all my life, where I was alone. And I felt like no one cared about me beyond like my family and parents, that I thought about giving up.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would have really, actually, I don't know, but I was in a really, really bad spot.
Yeah.
And every day it was torturous to wake up. I started actually drinking, and I was never a drinker. And I spent a few days, no, it was probably a month, little over a month and a half, going to the same bar in Pittsburgh during the day, right when they open. And it would be the same set of locals, regulars, you know, guys that have been coming there for a decade plus.
Yeah.
And I became connected to them, hearing their life stories. We'd talk, you know, that was like our meeting spot. And a lot of the stories they were sharing about their day in life was a lot of pain, a lot of loss, a lot of resentment, holding on to a lot of grudges and past experiences, and also revealing that they're battling a lot of health issues that are tied to their drinking, which isn't, you know, really helping it.
Sure.
And it all kind of hit me at once. And I was able to look at my life and said, man, I'm on this crash course and I'm falling victim to this substance where that's going to be me. You know, one beer turns into two the next day and three.
Yeah, bro.
But I'm feeling this sense of anxiety and guilt and fear every day, but don't have control over my actions. And so, yeah, it was one day I got so fed up and had enough that I sat in a parking lot at the gym because I said I got to, you know, immediately do a 180 and start developing healthy habits again and get back on track.
Yeah.
And it probably would have been beneficial, probably at that point, if I'm being honest, to just go to recovery.
Yeah, like go to rehab or something.
Right, but I had an ego and, you know, I felt like I'm better than that. Or,
You don't need it. Yeah, right. Dude, listen,
Yeah.
that's, yeah, right. You're speaking my language, bro.
And so I remember I sat in that gym parking lot. I never went in the gym out of fear of being self-conscious, how I look, this is going to be too hard. All the things that can race through our minds. And I said, Dave, you got to figure this out. Rather than think about money and outcome and result, what would bring you joy, man, every day? What would just make you feel good? Because it's not the drinking. And it's not trying to chase these jobs and monies and outcomes, which seem so far out of reach, and you're not going to get the immediate return. So it was, I just wanted to have kind interactions with people, you know?
Yeah, man.
It's like, I think so many of us, Yeah, in our lives, we're lacking that, and we fall victim to just seeing what's on the internet, the news, and we're surrounded by a lot of people where life's been a struggle, and it's hard for us to be present and find joy in the moment. So I said, well, what is one thing that I could do? Forget about money, as insane as it sounds, that would bring me joy, and that led me to this question, which I thought was the most important thing that we often overlook, and that's asking each other what we love most about ourselves and each other, especially our loved ones, our kids. So I went home, I told my girlfriend, I said, all right, I have a plan. She's like, what's the plan? I said, I'm gonna ask people, go around with my cell phone, I'm gonna ask them to share what they love most about themselves or each other. And she took it was like a long gaze at me, and she's like, Dave, I think you need to go back to Florida, and I think you need to get into counseling.
Damn.
And I said, I don't doubt there's some truth to that, and I really trust your judgment, but would you be willing to support me in doing this? Give me 30 days, 60 days. And she's like, how do you foresee this is going to amount to anything monetarily? I said, I got no idea, but in the back of my mind, I did have an understanding that I think a lot of businesses fall short is they over-prioritize the dollar, whether that's making it through a product or service, where they forget about people, the consumer, the people they depend upon. And I said, maybe there would be an outlet where if this worked out, they would want to align themselves with me, businesses that really prioritize people and kindness and compassion beyond making money. So yeah, I went out with my cell phone and started approaching just people in public, trying to introduce myself, saying, hey, my name's Dave, I'm an aspiring filmmaker, content creator. And before I could even get the words out, as you can imagine, people would be like, get away from us, we're not interested.
Damn, okay. I thought you were going to be like, oh, they just ate it up, man.
No, they looked at me like I was batshit crazy. Here's this guy in tattoos, not a young buck, approaching us. And I was trying to be really mindful and aware of what they're probably feeling out in public and the way you see a stranger approaching, probably assuming I need money, I'm going to try to sell them something, ask them for something. But it was a week of doing it. No one would speak to me. I didn't get a single interview. I was getting rejected over and over. Every night my girlfriend would say, how'd it go? Nothing.
You're serious?
Damn. Yeah. And then it was on the 7th or 8th day, I said, man, if I don't get an interview, and my parents thought I was delusional out of my mind too, so I didn't have the support from my parents, which really weighed heavily on me. I said, yeah, if this doesn't work out, I'm going back to Florida. I got to give up, and just go back to the old life, lean in these relationships that I didn't really want to, kind of bring back into the picture.
Sure.
So, it was about 7:30 at night. Hadn't got a single interview after spending 8 hours that day of wandering around Pittsburgh. And I was doing everything I thought to try to be respectful of space. I'm talking to people from 15 feet away, trying different approaches, nothing. So it's at a Get-Go gas station. It's a guy probably mid-late 30s coming out with his, what I assume is his daughter, and she's got a bag of food, from the deli inside.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, brother, excuse me. I said, my name's Dave. I'm an aspiring content creator, filmmaker. And I was wondering if you'd be willing to share 3 things you love most about your daughter on camera. And he was like, what the fuck? He's like, that's weird, bro. He's like, why are you asking me that? I said, I respect your feeling on that. I get it. I said, I just think that's a really important question that we overlook, and there's nothing more powerful than a child to hear that from, a parent of what makes them special, why they matter. I don't think you could say it enough. So he's like, okay, I dig that. He's like, yeah, I'd have to call her mom. We're separated, going through some shit. Have to get her permission. Is that cool? I said, you know what? Don't even bother calling her. I said, how about just off camera, man? You just share, what you love most about your daughter.
Damn.
So, daughter's probably 6, 7 years old, right? And she's very shy and timid. She's a little uncomfortable because here's this other stranger, this guy standing there, she doesn't know who I am. And so he looks at her and he shares the 3 things he loves about her. And then he immediately prompts her. He's like, so what do you love most about Daddy? Well, she becomes nervous like most kids would, with a stranger, and she's not good with communication at this age. So she like clams up, turns away, kind of like tucks her head in her shirt.
Yeah.
Well, he immediately becomes pissed off.
Damn. Yeah.
And he's like, what do you mean? Do you not love dad? And so it kind of hit me in the moment. He needs to understand what's going on, or at least another perspective, that this isn't due lack of love or her caring about dad. It's the inability to maybe communicate it out of discomfort, in the setting because of me. So I began just to provide him all the reassurance and try to,
like, it's good, bro. Like, she's just a kid. It's
and I don't,
yeah.
And I was like, I don't doubt she loves you. And then he started expressing a lot of doubt and revealing mistakes he made, battling addiction, and destroying the relationship with the mother, and having a lot of regrets and just shame he carries, and doubting himself as whether he's a good parent and worth anything and not mattering in this world. So we spent about like 15, 20 minutes together, and it was like, I was just trying to reassure him and trying to relate and share mistakes I made. And, I'm not at a place in my life where that's all together, and I harbor a lot of guilt. And ultimately, she ended up coming around, and she was able to share what she loved about him.
Yeah.
And, we kind of parted ways. I gave him my name. I had like it was under like 200 followers, I think, on social media. I hadn't posted anything regarding this. It was just pictures from the past. So I go home, girlfriend's like, how'd the day go? I said, not great. I didn't get an interview. And she kind of rolled over to go to bed. And so I felt like the disappointment on her end, like let down, and it just felt like a loser. And I felt like I'm out of my mind, bro. Like, what are you doing, dude? Well, I get a DM then, right as I'm going to sleep. And it dinged a couple times, and I opened the DM up, and the first sentence was, do you believe in God? And I said, here we go. This is just like some random spam message,
Yeah.
And I begin reading, and it's like 4 paragraphs long.
Whoa.
And it ends up being the guy from the gas station, this dad. And he basically reveals that night, he had plans to take his own life. And that on the way to the gas station, he asked the universe, it's heavy, but for a sign. And so this was his sign to keep going. So
you're gonna make me like cry,
so
dude.
I wake my girlfriend up, and I'm bawling. I'm bawling as I'm reading this.
Yeah, bro.
And wow. I said, you got to read this. And she's like, read what? And I'm like telling her about the interaction, and oh my God. But I think, of course, in her mind, that doesn't amount to any proof of concept, money, stability. It's just like, okay, that's really amazing that you touched someone's life and did all this, but she's looking at the bigger picture, right?
Yeah.
But that interaction, and then getting the validation, him having reach out and communicate, I think that was like, it brought me a feeling like I had accomplished everything that I had set out to do.
Like it lit us a little bit of a fulfillment.
But
finally.
But it was like, that was priceless.
Yeah, dude.
And so at that point, that gave me so much energy because of like the impact I felt like I had on this person just through holding that space, and then in turn him taking the time to communicate that to me. I needed that.
Yes.
And so I said, whoa. I said, Dave, you got to trust your vision, the feeling that brought you, and the belief you have in this concept. It doesn't matter if the world doesn't believe in it, no one else sees it, and you're not getting that instant gratification. You touch one person's life, and that's really all that matters. But so, I ended up waking up the next morning full of just wonder and excitement to try to connect with another person that, I had a different, I think, energy about me and confidence and like an underlying like belief that was unwavering, that I just believed so much in it. So like I got the rejections, right? But I didn't stop. Now I'm like, I'm running.
And I got to say too, like, oftentimes in life for me, I think about the most validating moments or like the most moving, touching moments. And like in recovery, we sometimes call them God moments. And that by no means is like a religious thing. It's just like higher consciousness, right? But for me, they're always the things that really happen off camera.
Oh,
or they're
yeah.
like the things that happen with like no expectations in return. Like, you know, I had a situation where I picked up a buddy of mine, or called a buddy of mine who I hadn't talked to in a while. This was early in sobriety. I was like a year sober, and I was going to a meeting. And in that moment, he revealed to me that he was thinking about, you know, literally taking his life. He was struggling with substance abuse. And I was like, why don't you come to this meeting with me, bro? And like, it's little moments like that where it's like, dude, like, that's wild. Like, if I wouldn't have been and nobody, I didn't get any money, I didn't get any likes for that, right? You know, that was like a real interaction. And I hold a lot of value in that, you know what I mean?
And that's like, we may not get the external validation or someone communicating, hey, that impacted me or changed me, but it's just understanding the little simple acts, taking the time to actively listen, pay someone a compliment, like these little fucking things that we take for granted in our lives every day.
Yes.
Can carry so much weight, you know, and really impact people beyond our ability to comprehend or like understand. It's crazy.
So after that, you felt more energized, and did that allow like you to? Because to me, bro, you're like, you know, you're such a positive person, and it's. I gotta say, bro, it's really
try to be.
It's a beautiful story because I didn't know exactly how you got into this content journey,
yeah.
And it's really encouraging to hear. Like, honestly, a lot of people, I feel like they're like, yeah, man, like I started this thing and it was off to the races, brother, and I was just crushing it. You know what I mean? And like that's what we see online, right? So it's awesome, it's beautiful to hear that and hear the emotion behind it. So I would imagine that also would probably give you a little bit more of like the ability to let some of those like rejections roll off your back, right? Would that be fair to say? Like at that point you were like, you know what? I'm just gonna keep going because you felt that internal validation. Like I'm doing something here.
It became probably, you know, it became the most therapeutic, like kind of social experiment or project in my life, to the point where it transformed the way I see myself, the world, look at past experiences, like literally everything.
Yeah.
To where, you know, then I started doing it. I started getting interviews and, you know, uploading them to social media. And then it was like in 3 months' time, there was one interview. It was probably like maybe a month, a couple weeks. I can't remember how long after that. And there was no initial explosion in terms of like a response like from the internet. None of my friends, people I've ever been connected to in my life would like a post.
Isn't that the worst, right? They say like a stranger is a bigger supporter than your best, which is a shame, but anyways, so keep going.
Yeah, just my mom. You know, just mom would like everything.
Yeah, but you know what? Cousin Marla and all the people out there that support my stuff, I see you guys. I love you guys.
Yeah, thank you guys for doing that.
That means the world to me, truly. Like when my mom or my brother comments on something, I'm like, damn, dude, like, I love you. Like, this is real, you know?
Yeah, it's, you know, social media could be a silly thing where, at the end of the day, no, the likes and all this doesn't matter. But when you really develop to understand that when someone shares a photo or a video of themselves in the mirror, of something they love doing, a place they were, or putting their art out there, this is them sharing themselves. They want to be seen and heard. And the way social media is set up, a like, a comment, a share is validating. It's recognizing that someone just sees you. And that's, I think, ultimately what we all seek out as human beings. So, yeah, it's crazy. But, yeah, there was just a video that was in near Walnut Street. What area is that called?
Shady Side.
Side.
Over in Shady Side.
It was raining one morning, and this was probably in the first month.
What year is this, too, by the way? Is this like...
end of 2022, beginning of 2022.
Uh-huh.
And it was raining, and this couple's coming out of their house. The husband is locking the front door. It started drizzling, and I just left a coffee shop, and I'd asked a bunch of people in the coffee shop, including like the employees and the owner, if I could interview the employees, and everyone was looking at me like I was crazy.
Yeah.
And I felt so unaccepted, out of place, that I remember I left there over-caffeinated, like anxious.
Yeah.
You know, questioning myself again. And I see this couple, and I immediately pull over, and there's no parking spots. And I go running across the street, And I just walk up and start recording and ask them the question. And they stop, but they immediately answer. And they go into it, and the husband stands about 10 feet back, and when she's done answering, he comes forward, and they're very emotionally literate, articulate with their feelings and their love. And it was a good interaction. And it was Diane and Bob, I think were their names. Yeah, Diane and Bob. And it was funny. I remember running back to my car.
Do you remember what you asked them?
Yeah, if they could share 3 things they love most about each other and the key to maintaining a loving, happy relationship after they'd been married, I think, like 40 plus years.
Amazing.
But I was very inspired by Bob and just the relationship and how composed he was and just what he said that I said, man, I hope one day I have a relationship like them and I could be like more like Bob.
Yeah.
So I posted, and that was one of the craziest, I think, experiences in the social media journey, to where probably 30 minutes after posting it, and still to this day, it never stopped, where every minute of the day, my phone didn't stop dinging.
Damn.
with a share, a like, a comment. So what's crazy is for 4 years straight now, every minute of the day, my phone, you're getting these notifications, which you have to turn off, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like overnight gained like 30,000 followers.
No way.
Yeah, and this was like a pipe dream. You see all that, and of course you glorify it in your mind. You can't believe.
Yeah, it's happening to me, man.
It's surreal.
Right.
Yeah, and so then I, got contacted by Al Roker and Deborah Roberts from Good Morning America, wanting to do an interview.
No way.
Yeah, and then then of course, then all my friends reach out and everyone that.
Oh, David, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, thanks, man.
But what's crazy is, the dream initially was to potentially have all these things happen that are happening, be able to make a living, getting to feel the love pour off of people, have an impact on them, but more so myself to get to feel this in the moment, feel, that exchange of energy and yeah, but what was crazy was then I had all these businesses and brands reach out wanting to collaborate and offer absurd amounts of money, which I could never imagine, like 20 grand or 10 grand for a 90-second video.
Wild. And
I blew it all up. I would entertain these collaborations like with Uber and other companies. We'd go through like locking down the proof of, the creative concept, be on these email threads or group texts. They'd approve it, say, okay, go shoot it. We love it. I'd shoot the footage, and then I wouldn't send it. I would just eject and ghost them. And they'd be responding and saying, Dave, what's going on? Like, the deadline, there's tight deadlines. I wouldn't respond. And meanwhile, my girlfriend and I need money. No money coming in. I'm getting a little bit of money now from TikTok views, but it's no more than like $1,500 a month. And I'm blowing it all up.
What was going on in your head? Because I can say from personal experience, I'm sorry, I'm like a broken record. I just reference back to recovery all the time, but it's such a big part of my life. But there's these stories where they talk about like people who, whether alcoholic or whatever, it's like moments of intense pressure when they just like fold. And it's that self-sabotaging. And I've been that person where like I've had a massive, interview or meeting coming up for the last business that I had before I was sober, and I just go on a run, and I'm off grid for 5 days getting destroyed. Yeah. So like, was it one of those moments where it's like I'm gonna run from this? This is too much, too fast, or was it more like something more internal?
It was a combination of that, but also I lost myself, or maybe I found myself in doing this so much where I went from one end of the spectrum to the other, where I was finding so much joy and purpose and meaning in my life, waking up and going to bed every day, so excited to jump in that car with my phone and just talk to people. In the acceptance of like money and doing these collaborations, I felt like it diluted the authenticity and purity of what I'm actually doing, where it's kind of like exploiting it. Mm-hmm. And, of course, like need this money and it's a dream, but yeah, I couldn't wrap my head around it. So it was probably a combination of both those things, the pressure too, I think.
Yep.
to where I ejected. And then, it put a lot of strain on our relationship where my girlfriend really had to overextend herself and pick up the load with carrying a lot of bills. And it wasn't due to me not having now this opportunity to be able to contribute, but this internal struggle with how can I make this work? And she's been an absolute rock. And if it wasn't for her, I probably wouldn't be alive, because then I ended up getting a bunch of skin cancer. I had to have a double mastectomy. Lots of like health issues arise where I didn't.
No way, dude.
Yeah, I didn't have the
Holy shit,
ability
bro.
to pay for it. And she took care of everything. And so, nuts. But that's...
Dude, this is a beautiful story. I just gotta say, man, like, I know emotions a bit high, but wow, man, like, it's blown me away.
So that's just like what I struggle with. Most people don't know this. You know, you see on social media.
Yeah, because you don't put yourself in the videos much, right? Like, I mean, I didn't even know what you looked like until you came into the shop the first time I met you. Like, you know what I mean? You keep it very about the
others. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, there's been a lot I've wanted to share that I've learned in these experiences, or just my perspectives on things. And also from a marketability standpoint, there's a lot more value with getting yourself on camera too and sharing.
Of course, man.
But I think as you develop this audience, and it's not really valid, but it can happen in your mind, and you can hold a perspective where you're now afraid to step on the stage and put yourself out there. So I've struggled with that. A lot. But that's like something that I'm about to step into more, just because, in doing this, you kind of, I'm almost 43 years old, but I think the past 4 years of creating content and just, I've spoken to over 150,000 people now in 4 years. And the bulk of the interviews and conversations are off camera with people that don't want to be on camera. Yeah. But that's where the most learning and I think healing and just understanding has came from, is those off-camera interviews that's reshaped the way I see the world and everybody. It's crazy.
Dude, so, I mean, first of all, insane, but I think it's also a really good segue into what you're doing now. So, tell me about the tour. Like, what is the David Shane World Tour? What is the Love Tour? Like, what is that about?
Yeah. So the More Love Tour, crazy. So I've been blessed to get to meet and be connected with so many people in real life, but also like on social media and the internet. And so when I had first moved to Pittsburgh, I was working out at LA Fitness, and was like on a machine or something, and I struck up a conversation with a guy next to me who was a little bit younger. And his name was Zach Kahn, native of Pittsburgh, grew up here. And Zach was driving for Uber to pay the bills and survive, but his passion was being an artist, a musician. Indie rock, folk, I guess is the genre. And Zach and I instantly connected with a lot of the conversations just being about life and emotions and the struggles, and there's a lot of relatability. And so that was like before I started creating content. But part of the reason I became, I think, inspired to do this was, here was this guy grinding and struggling, dealing with loss of his parents, different things, but having to push and keep going. So Zach and I became friends, but both on our separate paths over the past 4 years. He's an artist, so he's done tours in Spain and traveling. He's independent. But it's been a grind, he's still driving for Uber to make ends meet.
Yeah.
And so it was probably like 3 weeks ago or a month ago, I think it was like through a text message, and then we jumped on a phone call, just catching up, like, how you doing, bro? What's going on? How's life? He's like, yeah, I'm actually getting ready to go on tour. And I was like, yeah, I saw some of the tour dates. That's dope. That's crazy. And he's like, hey, I got this crazy idea. Do you want to go on tour with me? and I'm like, bro, I'm not a musician. Like, what are you even talking about?
Yeah.
And I was like, I could try to sing.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm a delusional optimist now. He's like, no. He's like, bro, like, you come on tour, but you'd be able to get outside of Pittsburgh and connect with these people from all different cultures and walks of life all over the world. I feel like that's something you'd want to do. And I was like, for sure, that would be like a dream to be like a Mr. Rogers / Anthony Bourdain.
Yeah, and
you know?
bring this love that you share with connections in Pittsburgh to everywhere, right?
Right. So, yeah, we grabbed, I think it was like tacos or a burger at Moonlit Burgers.
Fire, by the way.
Yeah.
Shout out Moonlit.
Yeah, shout out Moonlit. And we threw some ideas around and came up with this concept of the More Love Tour, where it's not only bringing people together through the love of music, but yeah, connecting with people. And we said there's probably a lot of different ways. We don't have to know right now, but we'll learn as we go, like we all do in life. The ideas will come. So let's just do it. And, you know, the thing about music, which is really incredible, is people from all different walks of life. We could have all different political views on how to survive, live, manage our finances, raise children, whatever the heck it is. We can all show up to a concert or a music venue or even a restaurant or whatever, and we're all enjoying that thing. And love is like the root of it all. It could be the escape from life, the stressors, the pain, you know, whatever it is, but we're all coming together, interpreting it differently, but like we're all vibing, we're all getting along.
Yeah.
And so like the more we thought about it, we're like, yo, this is something we can really do. So yeah, we're now about to really hit it hard starting in April, but it's a world tour, 45 states, 15 countries.
Crazy, that's huge.
Insane. And it's going to be probably over like 250 shows.
And what's the timeline, bro? April to how long is it going to take to go?
Never ending.
Never ending? Yeah, just rolling it? Okay, bro.
Yeah, April we're hitting, I think it's like 20 states in the U.S. And then in March, so then beginning in May, we're doing Germany, France, Italy, Spain, hitting a lot of Europe. And then we're just continuously booking dates. We're adding it on. His partner's really supportive, as is mine. Yeah, and it's just going to be like this never-ending tour for now. But yeah, it's incredible. And one of the things that we've launched, kind of like tied in, interweaved into the tour, which I have like a 5-minute, 10-minute set before he takes stage. It's introducing the audience in all these different cities, states, and countries to the Postcard Project. And so what the Postcard Project is shout out Minuteman Press Pittsburgh for sponsoring and help bringing this project to life with love. But it's these postcards that are curated for each specific place. So one side, it has like the landscape, a landmark that's organic to that place. And then the other side, it's pretty much blank, but the goal being to remind people they're not alone. And so each card is filled out by friends you've never met in a specific city, in a state or country, who believe in you. And so basically revealing it to each audience in each of these markets, letting them know, hey, we're going to pass these out, fill them out. You can remain completely anonymous. You don't got to leave any of your personal information. But write an affirmation, kind words to a stranger to remind them they're not alone. Because, you know, the one thing that I've learned in doing this is that the words from a stranger, the message from a stranger, whether that's online, a text, a note, can be more powerful than that, like from your best friend, your wife, your parents, because we subconsciously start to assume that, oh, they're saying it because they love us. They like have to or they want to or need to, right, to make us feel better.
Yeah.
But it's like a stranger, there's no angles, right? You're never going to see them again. They have nothing to gain in our minds. It's so pure and raw that sometimes that can carry us or give us the hope that's needed to keep going. So yeah, that's one of the projects we've rolled out. So we've gotten so far, I think we've done like 6 shows now in a few different states, and it's been incredible. I kind of assume that a lot of people who are going to like a concert, right, at a bar, at a restaurant, that type of venue, they may not really want to give the time to like write out this heartfelt message or not give a shit. But it's been people taking the time to like write front and back, like the most heartfelt, sincere messages, share relatable experiences, struggles, to where, it's incredible. So we're about to roll that out, get it up on a website, start mailing them out to people all over the world, pass them out in different states and countries.
Dude, freaking awesome. And yeah, guys, you know, anybody watching this, obviously, David, his page will be tagged, so you'll be able to find more information about the More Love Tour. Man, That's awesome. I didn't know about the postcard project, and that it sounds like it's exactly like I think what you intended. Like it's something small but can mean so much, and I think that kind of goes back to a lot of what we've been talking about today, man. I want to ask you. So with one of the kind of questions or perspectives that I wanted to get from you with this abundance of technology, social media, we've talked about it a little bit, being in our face all the time. Do you have any words of wisdom, advice for people who feel like, they're maybe disconnected from day-to-day reality? What's something that, obviously you go out and you ask people straight up, you know what I mean? And that's your interaction. But what's a little tidbit you could give people to just stay positive, to stay present,
Yeah, I think it's definitely a struggle. It's something I struggle with day in, day out. I think a lot of people that are connected to me through the content and what I do day in, day out, develop an assumption and understanding of who they think I am day to day. And so I get a lot of messages and people saying, hey, I aspire to be like you, or being like overly inquisitive, like wanting me to give them advice on how to be better and develop a better understanding. And the truth is, I'm no different than anybody else. It's a struggle day in, day out, being intentional and present. But I think with the advancement of technology and social media and everything, it can be a struggle for all of us due to constantly comparing our circumstance and lives to others. And seeing other people maybe have the things we think we need or we ultimately want out of life that we feel are the tickets to being the person we want to be, or feeling better, escaping our problems. But I think it's the greatest thing I think we can all do is really take the time to prioritize focusing on ourselves and just maintaining an open mind and heart and understanding that while your situation struggles may be unfathomable and you may feel like no one understands them and you're kind of invisible and maybe your circumstances truly unimaginable, where you don't have a support system and no love in your life and no one to turn to, that there's a lot of people out there that can relate and truly do care and don't need anything in return. And I think the power is being vulnerable and being open and overcoming the fear of putting yourself out there and communicating and just opening up. But as far as like technology, I think it's really important to just understand that while it can make things much more efficient and it's great, like it connects us all, right? If we didn't have social media, a lot of us wouldn't be able to develop relationships or feel less alone.
Yeah.
But I think the downside too is it can create an artificial reality and understanding, like it's not all real. I know AI, at least for me, like ChatGPT, I use that for a lot of different things.
Yeah.
I'm bad at typing emails. I can overthink and I want to ensure I'm professional and punctuation's on point. But the downside is I think it instills in us to not trust our intuition in ourselves, where then we're heavily reliant and dependent on these things. But yeah, I'm kind of going off on a tangent. I think at the end of the day, it's going back to the basics. It's human connection and getting out there in the real world and just connecting with people, being open, trying to be vulnerable, listen, be willing to constantly change your mindset and be not locked into one understanding of a certain concept, whether it's people, a race, a religion, a political belief, whatever. Just try to always keep an open mind, and I try to just look at everything as like, hey, we all have just opinions, but none of us truly know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't even know if I can answer that question.
Dude, that was honestly that was everything, a few things I wanted to touch on and more. Dude, thank you so much for opening up, man. I want to say too, like, I'm just stoked to be able to start this friendship with you. I think, I think we have a lot of common ground. And
wait, I want to say something real quick to everybody that's watching this. Mark isn't going to say this, But, you know, many of you that are going to be watching this video and viewing this, you probably don't know him, right? Obviously, you're seeing that he has a podcast. He's an incredible artist, which you can see through the videos, the work that he captures. And you get tidbits of his personality, which I think the way it resonates with the viewer through the video is he's very authentic. He's very mindful. He's kind. But one thing I want to stress is what you're seeing on this camera is the exact same in real life, but it doesn't do it justice. He is so real, you know, and the passion that he puts into his art and how great at this, it's the same as a human. And so anybody that's out there that's interested in getting a tattoo, whether it's your first tattoo, your 10th or 15th, it doesn't matter where you are. I want you to know that you have the confidence coming in here that he's going to ensure that you get exactly what you want. And he's never, it's funny, before he did this tattoo today, I presented a design, you know, that I found that some other artists did. And I understand that all artists aren't going to necessarily duplicate someone else's work. They're going to add their own spin on it because they want to keep it authentic and not really just mimic others out of respect. But he will really prioritize ensuring that what he's bringing to life for you is exactly what you want. And he's not going to start, and he's not even going to do it if you're not satisfied and happy. I mean, like, you cannot ask for, I think, a better artist because you have the trust factor, it's real, and he's not going to do it if he's overextending himself, and it's just not possible. And I think that's a struggle a lot of us face when we're spending money. You know, because a lot of people don't prioritize considering our feelings. So, yeah, I just want to say that Mark is a real one, incredible artist, but a phenomenal human. If you got to book the ticket, you got to book a flight, do it. You will not regret it.
Dude, shout out David. Thank you so much, man, for coming on. Thanks for the kind words, bro. We're going to finish this piece. This is sick. This piece is really like a testament to what we've been talking about, man. This piece is Venus representing love. I love it. I think it's going to turn out really well. I'm going to show you guys the before and after here, and we're gonna jam out. We're gonna keep having a conversation. But thank you guys for tuning in, and can't wait to drop the full thing.
One more thing.
One more thing. Yeah.
What's crazy is he's so light-handed too, and I'm not just bullshitting and pouring it on here. I'm truly not. Maybe it's because I'm talking distracted, but like, guys, this is like a gentle massage.
Let's go, dude. That's a glowing review. Yeah,
5
dude,
stars.
It's going to be great. We're going to have a good rest of our time here, and it's going to be a sick and memorable piece. Yeah, shout out David. Thanks for coming on again, man. And yeah, stay tuned. Peace.